Hello and welcome to the Light Seekers Lounge. I'm Annie Love and this is episode 119. Firstly, apologies for going MIA over the past month. May was absolutely nuts in our world and I feel like I'm just coming up for air. I knew that it was busy, but I was journaling the other day and wrote out all that had happened in May and I felt exhausted actually just looking at it. We started the month with our 8th anniversary since our youngest son Nicholas died. Then we had Mother's Day, our 21st wedding anniversary, my birthday, Ben's birthday. Ben was away on work trips twice in the month and I was away once. Charlie was in multiple musical performances that required a number of rehearsals, and we made some really big decisions as a family around changes in Sam's schooling. And then all the work and life bits in between. At one stage, I was looking for a date for the four of us to be in one place to have a birthday dinner together, and I managed to find one night in a matter of weeks. It was crazy. Felt like a lot. Anyway, I do have some beautiful podcast interviews to share with you over the coming weeks, so thank you for your patience. So nice to be back on the microphone with you. Now, I have just recently completed my exam and assessment to recertify as a Profit First coach, which we have to do annually, which means I've been Profit First certified for over a year now, and yet I still haven't shared here with you on the podcast how you can implement Profit First in your own business. I'm so sorry I've been holding out on you. So today I wanted to share an overview on how Profit First works and how you can set up your bank accounts to have more cash profit in your business. Now, if you have already started to switch off because we're discussing finances, if you are someone who does not like talking about money and avoids it at all cost, I promise you this is not a complicated or scary system, but it could change your life and positively impact the world. I know that's a big statement. I am a big believer that we need to be having more conversations around money, especially women. The research shows that women are less confident at investing, but when they do, they tend to invest in purpose-led, ethical, and long-term investments that impact their families and the world more positively. They want to use their money for good. So more money in the hands of more women is powerful and important. So let's talk about how Profit First works and how we can get more money into your hands. I'm going to do my best to give you a high-level overview and the cliff notes so that you have an idea of Profit First without overwhelming you with the details. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello, fellow seeker of light, and welcome to the Light Seekers Lounge. I'm Annie Love, and I'm a certified coach for incredible humans who want to build wholehearted businesses. I help them master their mindset, create simple strategies, and take meaningful action towards their goals in a soul-nourishing way that honours their business, their family, and most importantly, themselves. I'm also a wife and a mum to 3 gorgeous boys. Our parenting journey has been, well, a bit of a roller coaster. And while our family has navigated some pretty tumultuous times, I've learned just how important it is to keep seeking the light and the joy. Even in the midst of darkness, I believe that we can find light on the other side, even if the landscape is different to how we expected it to look. Here in the Light Seekers Lounge, we're going to share stories and conversations about how we create our best life, even when things feel hard. Thank you for being a light seeker with me. I am so glad you're here. Now, let's get on with the show. So to start with, if you're not familiar with it, the Profit First system is based on the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. It is American, so there's loads of examples of American businesses in the book, but the system itself is really simple and universal. I'm part of the community of Profit First professionals in Australia and New Zealand, so we are trained in any of the nuances that change based on location. For example, what to do with GST. Fun fact, and side note, there's actually only 40 certified Profit First professionals in Australia and about 700 worldwide. And that number is increasing, which is really cool. And it's amazing to see just how many businesses have been impacted positively by implementing Profit First in their business. I remember the very first business coach I ever had talking passionately about the concept after she'd read the book Profit First, but it probably took me a little while after that to actually read it. I never considered myself someone who was particularly good with money. I certainly wasn't extravagant, but I was very good at spending whatever I earned. From the moment I started earning money at a part-time job when I was 14, if I couldn't afford things straight away, I'd put them on lay-by back in the day where there was no afterpay. But there were definitely no savings. When I did move out of home later on and started getting paid monthly, it was a little bit dire in the week before payday. I was a ninja at shiny object syndrome and spending pretty much whatever I had. When I first started a business, it was no different. I was moderately okay at making money, but expert level at spending money. If there was money in the bank account, I could find a way to spend it. When I was making a decision about whether or not to buy something, it was usually based on what was currently sitting in the bank account. So when I first read Profit First and realised that there was a simple way out there to manage my money without needing an accounting degree, it just made so much sense to me. After I'd read the book, I felt like I needed a bit more tailored advice on how to implement the system. So I also bought a course which included a one-on-one session with a Profit First professional. Soon after that, I decided that I'd love to be able to offer this tool to my coaching clients, and then I started the process of becoming a PFP. So how does Profit First actually work? At its most basic level, the Profit First system is about separating income or revenue into various buckets, and each bucket has a purpose. Way back when we used to use more physical cash in society, lots of people used to use the envelope system to separate out their cash into various purposes, such as rent or groceries. So for the Profit First system, instead of using envelopes, we use separate bank accounts. Mike actually tells a story in the Profit First book about how his mum was German and she used to use the envelope system in their household when he was a kid. So, and the first account we allocate money to is Profit First. Get it? So in generally accepted accounting principles, sales minus expenses equals profit. So profit is what is left over after you've paid all your expenses. The problem with that is that there is rarely anything left over. It's like mums waiting until they have spare time to look after themselves. Spoiler alert, there's rarely such a thing as spare time. We have to prioritise it. Same goes with profit. A business can look profitable on paper but not have any cash in the bank. But if we prioritise a cash profit, if we put that money aside for profit, the business can have both profit on the reports and cash in the bank. So many business owners operate using what we call bank balance accounting. Essentially, they look at the bank account to decide whether they can afford something. I know that's totally been the case for me. If the money is there, they spend it. Problem is they don't usually take into account when the next bill might be coming out or when they might next receive any income. And many business owners only have one bank account, so it's actually really hard to keep track of what's coming and what's going. In Profit First, we work on the concept that profit equals income less expenses. So rather than paying for all the things and waiting to see what profit is left over, we set up 5 main bank accounts and on a consistent basis allocate money to each of the accounts, starting with profit. So the 5 bank accounts are income, profit, owner's pay, tax, and operating expenses. Now, if the thought of opening 5 bank accounts just made you groan internally, I promise you are not alone. I did exactly the same thing when I was starting out. But I promise you that having separate bank accounts actually makes a huge difference. So all of the income your business makes comes into the income account. From there, we choose a regular rhythm to do the allocations into the other bank accounts. So it might be a weekly or a fortnightly or a twice a month money date. In the book, Mike recommends the 10th and the 25th of each month. Essentially, making transfers on a regular basis allows you to observe the rhythms of the business and how the cash flows over time. Now, there are nuances that can determine what amounts are regularly transferred into each account, but essentially, we work in percentages, and there are target or benchmark percentages for what a healthy business looks like, depending on the level of revenue your business brings in. But not everyone is ready to jump straight in at that target level straight away. You can do what we call an instant assessment to check where you're currently at. Think about what your goals are for the business and then work out a plan to get you to the target percentages. I really love Profit First because it works around human behavior. It doesn't try to change the way that our brains work. It just tries to utilize that for good and not evil. There's this concept called Parkinson's Law. Now, Parkinson's Law is the idea that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. Or said more simply, the more we have of something, the more we consume. So if we need to write a report and we give ourselves a whole day to do it, we'll probably take a whole day to get it done. But if someone springs a faster deadline on us and tells us to have it done in 2 hours, we'll probably get it done just as effectively in 2 hours. When we have less time to complete something, we're usually more efficient and more productive. If you'd like a visual example, take toothpaste. Now, if you've just opened a tube, you're probably going to use a hefty amount of toothpaste on your brush because you can, because it's available. But if you're right at the end of the tube and you haven't yet bought a replacement, you are going to squeeze the life out of that tube and it'll probably keep you going at least a few more days. We generally make do with what we've got. Same goes with money. If there's money sitting in an account, it's fair game and we think we can afford to use it. But if we know we only have a certain amount available to spend, we'll just make do. When we use the Profit First method, we're effectively enforcing boundaries on the money, putting it into a bank account for a particular purpose, so then we know how much we have available to us. As humans, we're already in the habit of looking at the bank account to make decisions. So this way, we're not trying to change behavior. We can just use those existing habits in a more positive way. In the book, Mike talks about how he was actually inspired by the dieting industry when he came up with this Profit First concept. And he's based it off 4 main principles. Use smaller plates and therefore small portions. So we divide the money up into smaller containers. Number 2 is serve sequentially. So prioritize the vegetables and nutrients first before you have dessert, just like we prioritize the profit first and paying ourselves first before we pay the bills. Number 3 is remove temptation. So we're less likely to go for the most convenient option or the chocolate bar that we know is sitting in the fridge. We move obligations such as tax and GST into different bank accounts so we don't touch it until we need it. And number 4 is enforcing a rhythm. Often in business, we hear a lot of talk around building revenue and making more money and 6 and 7 figure launches and businesses. But the thing about scaling a business is that if we're making more revenue, but the business is not actually profitable, we're often just spending more money and growing into a bigger, unprofitable business that has major cash flow issues. So it's best to focus first on making the business more profitable, and then the profitable, healthy business can grow into an even bigger, healthier business. So there you go. That's the overview on Profit First. I hope you found that helpful and I managed to tread that fine line between enough information and too much information. If you want to know more about Profit First, I probably recommend starting by reading the book. I heard a hot tip the other day that if you have a premium Spotify account, you'll actually have access to the audiobook on Spotify, so you can listen to it for free instead of reading it. There's a page all about Profit First on my website, and I'll put the link in the show notes. If you head over there, you can download 2 chapters of the book for free to get you started, and there are some free resources over there you can access too. If you read the book and, like I did, decide you want help implementing it into your business, please send me a DM on Instagram or on Facebook or an email, all the ways, and I'd love to assist you. If you listen to this episode and you have more questions around Profit First, I'd love to know. I would be absolutely happy to answer them in upcoming episodes. So hit me up on Instagram and tell me what you want to know more about. That's it for today. I hope you have the most beautiful week, and I'll chat to you again very soon. Hey, thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Light Seekers Lounge podcast. I am so grateful to have you here. If you loved the show, it would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. I would love to continue the conversation with you, so come on over and join the Light Seekers Lounge Facebook group, or come say hi to me on Instagram at annielove.coach. Talk to you soon.